sick. I won't kick the table this time.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. So, if you are watching and didn't know already, we are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're listening, then we're also on YouTube. I'm still not sure on the name. It was called Mr. H Podcast, but I'm Southern, so I say
podcast.
I say podcast.
Like yeah.
But someone from the north would say podcast, so it wouldn't quite work. So I'm open to suggestions. I'm thinking of maybe changing the name to Mr. H Talks Cars, maybe with a dash between the two. If the name's already changed, then I've already decided. But yeah, my name's Will from the YouTube channel Mr. H Cars.
And I'm Charlie Harvey.
And today, by the title, you can see we're talking about Porsche's, future Porsche, I guess after 2023, right? So
yeah,
992.2.
Things that are coming, yeah.
If you didn't know already, the last podcast that we did, we talked about hybrids maybe or destroying future sports cars.
Yeah, how do they affect what a sports car's like?
And the 992.2 incoming is rumoured
to
be a hybrid.
Yeah.
How do we know that?
Well, we've seen it going around the Nürburgring, and I remember that when the 992 came out, one of the reasons they said that, so in the 992 generation, you can't get a narrow body, which the two-wheel drive cars in every other generation have just been a little bit narrower. I think it was just to fit the running gear for the four-wheel drive system that made them wider. In this generation, the 992, all of the cars are wide. So there was speculation as to why they've done that. First of all, aesthetics, it looks better, I think anyway. Wider, more, bigger arches and stuff like that. But the second rumour that I believe someone from Porsche confirmed was that it's so that the car is hybrid ready. So the 992 platform was new, ground up chassis and all that jazz. But that chassis took into account the fact that that platform was gonna have a hybrid at some point. We thought it would be a hybrid model would appear in the 992.1, as you want to call it. Yeah. But it seems like that hasn't happened. The new car is end of this year, from some conversations I've had with my Porsche dealer, is that the new 992 gen will come towards the end of the year. Delivery is probably the year after, but whatever. And they are pretty confident that there'll be a hybrid. And yes, we've seen this car going around the Nürburgring that doesn't sound quite right, if you want to make sense. And interestingly, the car that's going around the Nürburgring doesn't sound turbocharged at all. So
it's like almost.
So they're going to almost do, potentially, they're going to do what they did to the GTS in the Cayman, where they take away the turbo unit and put in a naturally aspirated. So they go back to a flat six.
Right.
But they've heard this car going round as a hybrid, as in like around the streets and stuff, it's been making no noise, which means that it's a hybrid. So
you can just be driven in electric mode.
Yeah, so we think that it's going to go 4 litre GTS engine, so that 4 litre flat six, which is essentially the 3 litre engine with the turbos taken off and drilled out to make bigger, more complicated with that, but that's basically it. And then an electric system slapped on the side of it to give it that hybrid vibe.
When you say 4 litre, that's not the
R4 litres that are in our GT4.
Our GT4 4 litre engine.
That's what
is going in the 992, 911.
Yes, because I don't know if you knew this, but the 4 litre engine that's in ours is the 3 litre engine from the Carrera S in the 992 that they take the turbos off and they do that bit of internal work to make it a 4 litre engine.
Interesting.
So I think what they're doing is they're going to put that in this new car, this new 911.
Okay.
Which is cool. The other rumour that I'm going to start, I don't know if anyone else has done it, but in every other Turbo S model, i.e. Cayenne Turbo S, Panamera Turbo S, they are big V8s in those cars, but they have a hybrid system for the S. So the turbo is essentially, a 500 odd horsepower V8, and then the Turbo S is like 670 horsepower V8 plus about 130 horsepower of electric.
And they call it the E-Performance.
They call it the Turbo S E-Performance, or E-Hybrid, I think they call it, whatever that. There are obviously, other models in the range like the 4 Hybrid and S Hybrid, there's other ones. But at that top end where power is king, and the only reason you buy a Turbo S is because you want to be the fastest car in a straight line, that would make complete sense to go hybrid, wouldn't it?
On a 992,
911. Yeah, you put the turbo engine in that does whatever it does, 640, 650 horsepower, then put a hybrid motor on top of it that can do 120, 130. You've got a, give or take, 800 horsepower weapon that, because that car is, the Turbo S is predominantly a road car in the lineup of Porsches, it's fine that you add some weight, I say. I would think.
Yeah.
Because it will be stupid fast in a straight line, which is what Turbo S's are about.
Yeah.
If you're buying a Porsche and you want the best handling car, you don't go down the turbo route. When you get to the GTS level, you have a decision to make. You go Turbo S, or you go GT3, 3RS and all that jazz. If you want handling, you go off down the GT route. So I think that would be a great car to have a turbo. To have a hybrid system going. I think that just makes complete sense.
Yeah, and you're not bothered about noise because that's not Turbo S.
The Turbo S never really sounds that inspiring anyway. It's always been renowned as the worst sounding 911. This generation's not bad, but in old ones, then it's not been so good. So that's quite an interesting one.
I haven't seen any spy pics of the interior of the 992.2, but it looks like it's going to be the same. Most of the changes are on the outside.
So I've got other knowledge on that.
Oh, here we go.
So there's rumours that the dash, on the 992, the dash is one big analogue dial with two screens. Rumours are it's going to the Taycan style, which is full digital display, but it looks like, they put, 5 rings on it, which is historically classic Porsche. So that's the vibe that I've heard it's going to go down. It's going to get a turbo, it's going to get a Taycan style dash. They've put that dash in the spy pic, or it's been spied in the Macan that's been going around, the new electric Macan that's rumoured, or is not rumoured, I mean that's virtually confirmed, but yeah, that's happening. And any of the kind of other things, it's been that. The Panamera apparently is going to get a facelift with it in as well.
So that's kind of the future, that's the next generation interior that we've now... So we've got the interiors that we've got in our GT4s, which was in the 991
7.2 we date back to, basically.
Then you've got the new 992 interiors that we're seeing right now.
Yes.
And then you have a Taycan, which has a slightly newer, better interior.
Yeah.
Not really better, but
it's got a newer interior. Yeah, it's got some more. Yeah.
That one's going to be in the 992.2.
Yeah, Heritage. Yeah, Heritage. Not Heritage. They're going to pull elements from that Taycan dash setup, and then they're going to put it into a 911.
Don't know if I like that, because that's what BMW are doing. They've gone down the Mercedes route.
Yeah, big screens.
Their new M3s, M4s have got that one big screen. The M3 Touring is just one big screen. The new M2, one big screen. The M240i's had a facelift, one big screen. So now
Porsche's going to go for... I think that is a rumour about that central cluster, because Porsche made a big deal about when the 992 came out that although they had lost the 5-dial analogue setup that had come from the 991 and literally harks back to the first 911, they'd kept that centre one because that's really important to keep the rev counter and that stuff. Maybe now they've developed a better system because the Taycan didn't exist at that point. Now that's there, maybe they've realised that they can get it to look the same, feel the same, and just go. I'm not that bothered, to be honest.
And are we now more used to seeing...
Is it just a thing now?
Digital dash,
yeah, which it is. Yeah, most cars you get into have it. If you go and get into a...
I guess particularly as well, I've got a lot of non-car friends, but they like to own nice cars. If they can afford a Porsche and they go for a 911 or a Cayman or a Boxster, if they then see the interior, that's why a lot of them ended up buying Mercedes, because the Mercedes interiors are always very wow with big screens.
Got you, yeah.
If that's the same for a Porsche, it's going to draw them towards a Porsche. Yeah,
Porsche's been function over form for many, many years. It's incredibly well built, really nice to look at, really, really quality materials and everything, but always just been solid, never been like, the Mercedes have got those, wow thing. So if they do that to the Porsche thing, I think they will elevate the interior. The 992 interior is way better than ours.
That 4K display.
Yeah, when you look at our Apple CarPlay and then you look at the one that's in the 911, it's like, is mine like Do I need an eye test? Like, what is going on? So yeah, I think that'll be cool. Other things that are coming, or that we think are coming, and the biggest one that is interesting is the fully electric lineup is being built, properly built, as in like they've got their strategy, they've outlined where it's coming. So the electric Macan, or Macan, however you call it, is coming next year, rumoured next year. Supposed to be this year, but delayed because of, just general supply chain stuff. So coming next year, apparently. That'll be followed by a Cayenne. So that's 2025. And then, 2025, 26, the first electric sports cars will come in the 718 replacements. So the Boxster Caymans.
Just to say about interiors, spy shots on those actually look like the 992.1 interiors. Okay. I've seen pictures where someone's taken a photo through the window of the 718.
Whatever it's called,
can be called. Yeah. On the door handle of the door card is the exact same door handle as the 992.
I know the one you mean. Yeah.
And the interior, so
that would make sense because 911 sets the bench, yes, and then the others follow.
And then they reuse that interior for the newer Boxers and the Caymans. Mm. But yeah, that's going to be a disappointment being a full EV.
It depends how they do it, doesn't it? So on the last podcast we talked about hybrid versus petrol and all that, and I wonder whether that EV model will be it, i.e. they'll come out with that generation and the whole platform will be EV, i.e. you buy a base Cayman S, GTS and eventually GT4 / Boxster Spider, whichever way you want to call it, whichever model you want, roof or not. Whether all of them will be EV, and then you're almost like it is with the Taycan, it's just more power, four-wheel drive, blah, blah, blah. Or whether they will go down have a combustion engine car that has a hybrid because they have to meet certain regulations or whatever. But then we have a full EV version. I don't know whether they're going to go commit full commit EV with no petrol engines then available, or
an option of either
or to start with.
There's no chances of a hybrid, right? Because it doesn't look like it can fit a hybrid into a Boxster Cayman chassis.
I don't know, because when they launched the 718s, the reason that the 718s didn't end up with a flat six turbo is because you couldn't fit a flat six plus its turbo compartments inside that, the shell basically just was too big. I wonder how they then managed to get a flat six in it was obviously they took the turbos off. What if you put a smaller flat six in, because ours are 4 litres, that equals some size. What if you made it a 3 litre, say? Could you then fit some hybridisation around it? Could the new platform, could you develop a new platform that can take that? I mean, could we lose the rear boot, for example? We've got that boot and you've got the front. I never put anything in the back. I always put it in the front because it's properly sized. Some people will definitely use both, fair enough, and the practicality of the whole car would drop if you lost the boot, but could you put the battery system in the boot, because it's right next to the engine anyway, so it's not that difficult, I guess. You'd shift the weight distribution and all that, so there's more to it than we're making out, but could you do that?
I think the worrying thing with the Cayman Boxster lineup is because they've brought out this EV GT4 cup
race car,
that's been going around Goodwood and whatever. That's almost telling us that the next GT4 is going to be EV. And so I've now bought a GT4, so I kind of have a relationship, kind of don't, because it was a used car. But that's stopping me from going to Porsche now and saying, put my name down for the next GT4.
Because you don't know what it's going to be.
It could be an EV, and to be honest...
Are you bothered about that? Yeah, probably
I don't want to entertain that.
Yeah, yes. The only thing that could be encouraging for Porsche's history, for Porsche's kind of continued combustion engine vibe, is they're obviously heavily involved in that synthetic fuel stuff. I read the other day that they now supply the German, I can't remember if it was military or if it was central government, with that fuel for free. So they are giving them that. That's not That's not because they want to give it away for free. They're using that to lobby the government to say, look how good this is, you're now carbon neutral, blah, blah, blah. But by the way, a load of the things that go into this fuel, you tax really heavily. Can we get some tax relief on these things? So they're lobbying the government by doing it, but it's in production and it's in use, that kind of synthetic fuel. That's number one. That's really good because, yeah, that fuel is, on combustion, is, I believe, carbon neutral. So they take carbon out of the air in the production, and then when you reproduce it at the burn stage, it just equals the same. So that's cool. It's not, that's fine. And the other thing is Porsche are racing a new version of the race car. So the Le Mans stuff, they had the 919, I think it was, which was quite a cool looking thing. It's now the 9. I think it's the 939 or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a new version that they're racing around a few places. They just had a race in America. That's fully hybrid.
Yes, I think you were telling me the other day.
So it takes off. It's mental. The thing goes off silently and you hear the whirring and stuff, and then the engine's firing and it sounds absolutely chaotic and it's amazing. But that is a full hybrid system. So they're clearly, manufacturers go into racing to develop technologies for their future cars, like aerodynamics for Ferraris. The KERS system that Ferrari have got is now kind of linked into how the 296 is a hybrid, and there's clever things that they learn from racing, because otherwise
that's why F1 teams and things like that
because it's trickle down technologies and stuff. So is that hybrid, the reason Porsche have gone down that hybrid route rather than just going, right, well, we're going to go and do Formula E or whatever it is because they truly believe that they can learn some hybrid technology stuff that they can put into their cars that means that they can prolong the combustion engine life cycle, whether that is permanent or not. I mean, there is no doubting that the Macan is going electric and their Cayenne is going electric, and they have absolutely said the next generation of the 718 will be electric. Does that mean full electric, or does that mean, when I say full electric, I mean the whole model range being electric,
or an option
a Turbo S equivalent of a Cayman being electric. They have though said, years ago I read that when they were talking about hybrids and Taycan, the 911 is going to be the last one to have a combustion engine. So everything else in the entire range will go EV before they force that 911 to be EV, because that's the halo car from Porsche, and that's the most important thing.
And that's why they only ever build a GT2 RS on the .2 cars.
Correct.
So we should see a GT2 RS on the 992.2.
Yeah.
But if they're going to make a hybrid Turbo S, which is the same, basically the same engine, a GT2 RS hybrid would be ridiculous.
Yeah, because it's more sophisticated now, but it was always, you take a 3RS, you take a Turbo S, and you take the engine out of the Turbo S and dump it into the 3RS, and then you've got a 2RS winner. That's the formula. And if they do go down that hybrid route with the Turbo S, it'll be interesting to see, if Weissach, who obviously have control over the GT cars, believe that they can do it with that. Because, for example, with the GT4 and Boxer Spider, they looked at the 4 cylinders and went, no, we're going to have a flat 6, thank you. So we will develop one. So they made one specifically for that car, which then trickled down because they realised that you could sell a lot of them if you sell them in the GTS as well. So whether they'll look at that hybrid system and go, no, thank you, we're going to stick with whatever it is. Yeah. It's the same with other things like the gearboxes in the GT3s and whatever. They're 7-speed PDKs, even though every other PDK in the 911 is 8-speed. Because
it's a completely different box.
It's just they've just gone, no, we don't like that gearbox, we like 7. So they've done the thing. So they've got some autonomy. Will they shun the hybrid for longer, or will they go for it? Again, a hybrid could make that car too heavy. But it could also
be a mild hybrid where it fills in the gaps between gear changes, but you can't drive and
electric only.
Yeah,
you got to. That is a good point.
And it's also those models. The reasons why some manufacturers, I think, like Lamborghini, have continued to be able to keep making V12s because they make so few models.
Yeah.
Is it maybe if they make so few models of a GT2 RS, that they can skip out on the
Oh, I see what you mean. Can you
system.
skip the regulations if the production cycle of that car's like, I don't know, 100 cars or something? I don't know.
Or is it the whole model range that gets taken into account?
I don't know.
We'd have to get the manufacturer on.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to someone or do some proper research for this podcast, because that's an interesting piece. I'm sure in the old regulations it was that if you produced X number of cars a year, you didn't have to comply. So things like noise regulations, Lotus didn't have to comply with noise regulations, and some of the others, which is why their cars are so loud. I'm sure, it was a joke, but I'm sure I saw Jeremy Clarkson saying the Italians just looked at the regulations and went, oh, bugger it, we're not doing that. And the Lamborghini guys just said, yeah, we've done it, and ticked the box, and then everything. Yeah. But whether that's true or not is obviously a different story. But yeah, so I think there's some exciting stuff from Porsche. There's a new Taycan coming in terms of like they're going to facelift that car.
There's a GT.
There's supposedly a GT coming, which...
Good friend Tab, who's been on the channel,
he's put his name down for one, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a Turbo S, and I think he's going for a GT.
Yeah,
Taycan
Turbo GT it'll be, because that's how they named the
1,000 brake horsepower they're going to be.
Which is what the EV Caymans are rumoured at, which makes me then go, how can you do that? You've got to have multiple bodies, and that's where, fingers crossed, that's the top model, and it gets 1,000 horsepower, thanks very much, but the lower models are petrol engines and hybrids and all sorts of stuff, and you end up with 400 or 300, whatever they set the benchmarks at. That could be interesting.
This could be an interesting year for Porsche.
Yeah, there's other manufacturers doing some cool bits on EVs, but Porsche seemed to when that Taycan came out, it was unbelievable. It could charge faster than anything, it drove better than anything else. Everything else is now caught up. You've just got to wait and hope that they go, right, well, that was our first attempt. Here's stage 2. And it's just whatever, even better. So, yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff coming, I'm sure.
We'll keep updating everyone.
We'll keep you updated as we go along. Yeah, we'll keep these kind of sessions in.
But I'm keeping my GT4.
Yeah.
As long as I can go.
Yeah. No comment.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching and listening. If you're watching the video, the podcast, and I still haven't gotten out of that. Please like, comment, subscribe, comment down below, let me know what you think, any comments. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, please give us a rating or subscribe or follow, whatever it is on that platform. And we'll see you later in the next podcast.
See you on the next one. Thanks very much.